Hello, everybody, and welcome to Naughty or Nice with Miss Cassie. Tonight's guest has unfortunately had a last-minute family emergency. We're so sorry, Crazy Heart. We hope everything's okay and that everything works out well. Well, my very good friend Rev Mel has decided, well, bless her heart, has been willing to come on my show to be our guest tonight and save my sorry ass. Mel, welcome! Woo! I am so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is going to be the funnest interview.
Funnest.
Funnest.
Yes. I understand that's not a word, and I use it all the time.
Really?
Funnest. I use funnest all the time. My daughter keeps it going. That's not a real word, Mom.
Well, what word are you supposed to use?
I don't know.
For the most fun. Do I have to use
the most fun?
It was the most fun. No, it was the funnest.
It's going to be a fun show. Funnest. I like funnest. I think it should be. I think it should be a word.
Hey, if they can have a snack called Funyuns, we can use the word funnest.
Funny. Hello. We've already got little tea in the chat rooms. Spanky. I got something for you, Spanky.
Ooh, what do you have for Spanky?
Spanky was on my show, and he showed all of his toys. And it was a big bag, and we had it covered. It was big, all of his spanking toys. And that weekend afterwards, he left it in his car at Threshold.
Yeah.
Somebody went in and stole it out of his car. He lost all of his toys.
No.
So I have a toy for him, a paddle. So everyone's been giving him new paddles and new toys.
Well, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So next time I see him at the lair, he's got to let me know when he's going though.
What kind of toys does Spanky? I mean, he must like spanking things, but has he got a special love for paddles?
He likes paddles. He likes canes. He likes all sorts of stuff. And his bag was huge. I mean, it's all done in this big leather. Absolutely fab. Somebody made him a fabulous leather case, and he rolls up into it, and all the little things that slides into it. And I felt so bad. We also have, ready? Oh, our guy. Ready?
Art Miller. Oh my, Art Miller. I'm so glad you're in the chat room tonight.
Art Miller.
Yes.
It was great meeting him.
Yes, it was. Oh, that was a real pleasure.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Oh, we always love it when we actually meet fans face to face. I have to tell you, it's always a thrill.
It's and Art, he is the man of great questions.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
We always enjoy having you in the chat room, Art, and we really love your questions. And tonight's going to be a great night for questions because Mel has given me her full permission for us to ask her absolutely anything we desire. So please ask away.
I wonder if Don Javier, if anybody go online, and email or text Don Javier on FetLife and say, come on, talk about goats.
Yes.
Yeah, because Crazy Hearts, we're so sorry you have family problems. But it is what it is. We're here. See?
We understand things do happen.
Were you a Girl Scout?
I was a Girl Scout.
So was I. See? We're always prepared.
Were you a brownie as well?
I don't remember.
You don't
I think
remember?
I got kicked out of the Girl Scout.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, I wasn't very much of a good Girl Scout. Hello, little T.
Well, what makes a good Girl Scout? And
Always being prepared.
You were being prepared for what?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I have a photograph of me in my Girl Scout uniform.
Do you really? I still have my Girl Scout sash, the green one.
Oh my God.
And it has my merit badges and my fruit number on it.
Oh wow.
Well, I also have I wore uniforms to school. My little green beanie and my little tie. And,
so do you like uniforms? Do you like uniform play?
I do a little bit. I don't have a lot of uniforms. I mean, when I was a submissive, I have a collection of schoolgirl skirts that's unbelievable. I only recently started giving them away because I actually have stopped wearing them for the most part. But every once in a while. I mean, I like that uniform thing. I still want to go to the uniform shop and see if I can get one of the Japanese schoolgirl uniforms. I really want one of those. Yes,
Asshole.
I wish to be Sailor Moon.
Wish to be asshole. Art Miller says thank you. So should we expect to see Mel on Thursday? Oh, is that Thursday? Yeah,
That's what it says.
Thursday. What's on Thursday? Huh. I don't know. What's on Thursday?
I'm trying to think.
Who's on first?
Oh,
no. Boy, that's showing my age.
Yes, it is. And I used to know the answer to that.
I don't think they had an answer.
Who's on first? No.
Something. No,
Yes,
who's on
yes,
second?
yes. No,
Who's on third?
no. Who's on first?
I don't know. Who's on first?
No, who's on first?
I don't know. Who's on first?
Who?
Who's on first?
Who is on first?
I don't know who's on first.
Who did you like, Abbott or Costello?
I don't know. I was so young. I really probably didn't care for either one of them. They just, and you know, the Three Stooges always bug me because they and hitting, and I get used to it gross. I don't like seeing people. It's amazing. Oh my God! No wonder I don't like seeing people hit. But I do like seeing people hit. Man, I'm really bipolar crazy.
Yeah,
I'm bipolar
but,
hits.
You know,
bipolar spanky.
Bipolar spanking.
Bipolar spanky.
But if you think about it, you know, I mean, slapstick is an art form, and they do have to train for that so they don't actually hurt each other. But the type of play that we do does not involve threatening the body organs that they were threatening, such as eyeballs,
Yeah.
noses, ears.
Yeah. I mean, they look like they could really cause damage.
Absolutely. And, you know, we, in this community, yeah, we do, you know, skirt that danger edge, but we don't do it with the intention to cause bodily harm.
We will hurt you, but never harm you.
Exactly. I mean, we like to bring people to the edge and give them an experience, but it's never to, well, unless that's what they truly, I mean, I have heard of scenes that have been requested by people, and you're just going, why? And I mean, I've had things described to me, and it's like, you would really, I mean, like this one, I guess it was a group of boys up north somewhere, and they actually asked to have this knockdown, drag-out fight, complete with slamming people's faces into concrete and breaking teeth. And
well, that's what's that one movie that they're always doing crazy?
Well, Jackass.
Jackass is ridiculous. I can't watch it. But, you know, in the chat room, Art is talking about my guest that I had on yesterday.
Oh, okay.
You know, he does his own show called The Man Eater, and then Spanky said yes to the present, and little T says no. Oh, no one's on first. Oh!
Thank you, little T.
No one's on first. Cool.
Oh, evidently not.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't even feel like it. Yeah. So, yeah, come on, give me the questions. Anything you want to ask me?
Well, actually, you know, you have been many people's introduction to the scene in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
Who introduced you to the scene?
Oh, a wonderful man named Hans, who I met him on AOL in one of like the BBW chat rooms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I've never been a petite little thing. Doesn't matter. I got a big butt. So got a big butt. Got to do some twerking.
Yeah.
So I followed him into an AOL chat room. It's called South Cal Fem Room or something like that. Southern California Fem Room. It was a BDSM room. Everybody was in there. Dancer used to be in there. Kane was in there. I mean, everybody that was anybody that went to the Lair de Sade was there.
Oh, so it was like, you know, people that were big in the scene in L.A. or people that were big on the scene throughout the nation?
No, this was L.A.
Just L.A.?
Yeah, L.A. So I got to meet, you know, a lot of people, and then that's how, you know. little T says, Cassie, usual sexy guest.
Ooh, can you believe this? Look what I got on tonight.
Yeah, I haven't been a guest on your. This is the first time I'm a guest on your show.
That is, it's very true. You've never been a guest on my show.
I know. So you can just guide me and.
So how long ago was that?
Oh, many moons ago. Many 18, 20 years ago.
Okay,
19,
we'll go
20
with
years
that.
ago. Something
Okay.
like that. Long time. Many
Long
moons
time.
ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so he brought me in and he never played with me. He never scened with me, which was, he was poly. I didn't quite understand poly.
So you guys actually did FaceTime?
Oh no, we actually dated.
You actually dated?
Oh yeah, he was here in Los Angeles.
Nice.
Yeah, he was a very well-known screenwriter.
Amazing
mind. I would sit there. He had this thing where he would thinking of him very fondly. He's a character and he's very expressive. And I would go over to his house in Hollywood, and he would sit with no shoes on, and he would point his toes. And he was really tall and elegant, and he was so bright and so smart. I mean, he was quick wit. I mean, I would never ever. I could never get a word in edgewise with him. He was pretty amazing. But like I said, he was really into poly. I didn't understand it. I was too new. And I didn't enjoy sitting in the back seat. And I always felt as if I was not connected to his family. So I never felt that connection. And I was really good friends with his slave at the time. But he would do things, and they were kind of, sorry, Hans, kind of a little sarcastic. And I don't do well with teasing. I've never done. I was bullied as a child, so.
Oh, I do get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people that hard edge, that passive aggressive thing. My family had a tendency to show love with sarcasm, and if you didn't understand that, it could really hurt.
Yeah.
But I just understood it at the time that it just meant somebody was actually paying attention to me.
Oh well, I didn't like the attention because I was. A lot of people aren't aware of the fact I was bullied, not only inside the household but outside as a child. So it was. I would have groups of kids, following me home, throwing things at me, sticks and stones. Yeah.
Actually, I had my entire kindergarten class chase me home from school one day.
It's pretty hard. It's horrible.
I don't know why. I just kind of accepted it. I always knew I was an odd child. I mean, if you look at my kindergarten picture, I have fish eyes, man. But I got beat up a lot, but it was just what we did as kids. I'd be in the middle of a fight, they'd hit me in the face, I'd go, hold it just a minute. All right, and we'd go right back at it and just keep fighting.
Not me.
I just accepted that, at least they were spending time with me, the neighborhood kids. Yeah, they were beating me up, but hey, they knew who I was. They knew enough about me to say things that would hurt my feelings. I was being paid attention to. God, that's a weird way to look at it, huh?
Yeah, I hated being teased.
Or I actually was like, hey, I'm being noticed.
They flunked me in first grade. I had a very bad speech impediment.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I used to say, my hee-ha, and you know what that meant?
No.
My father bought me ice cream. That's how bad I spoke. And the only reason I know that is because my family still, to this day, will tease me about my hee-ha, which is pretty bad. Wow. And so I got, and my older brother was, he was a real prick in high school, above me. He was 3 years older than me, and he was a real prick to all the kids. So they couldn't take it out on him, so he took it out on me. So he was not the protective sort of person. Art wanted to know, did you ever find connection within poly? And Heather is in the chat room. Welcome, Heather.
Welcome, Heather.
Yeah, poly's an interesting journey for me. Part of me really likes it, and the other part of me wants nothing to do with it.
I understand that. I've had some poly relationships that at the time worked well, but eventually, for whatever reason, the people matured or we all had different needs and moved on. It changed and it wasn't the same. So when it wasn't the same anymore and it wasn't the same dynamic, that poly dynamic was over.
I think you have to have a really strong foundation
Yeah.
in the alpha first.
Yes.
You have to have that really strong base of the two people that started the family.
Yes.
And then a lot of communication. People have to be on the same page, and there has to be, there has to be boundaries put down. There has to be, and trust. Trust is the most important. With my slave Phil, we wanted to be poly. We had a girl that we were poly with, but she was a virgin, and he was not allowed to be intimate with her. And I found out that he was behind my back. So you have to have that trust built in. If you don't, it causes a tremendous amount of problems for everyone in the family. I think, and people say they're poly. My definition of poly is this. This may sound strange, and everybody has their own definition of poly. My definition of poly is that you all live together. You all are there just for the family. You don't date outside of the family. Everyone, and you live together, and you create this wonderful way of living. It's not the poly that a lot of the younger generations bring in.
Yeah, I have to tell you, the last quote poly family I was in, it really hurt me when they decided they were no longer going to meet my sexual needs and basically told me to go date outside the family.
I think that's not poly. That's to me, that is just
because that's what they offered me. They offered me a family, where my needs were going to get met, and in return for that, I agreed to be in service to them, and my service never wavered.
Yeah.
And I really just didn't understand why they would just change the rules like that.
Because they don't. Poly is, if you really look at polyamorous, and if you really look at how it was structured before the younger generation came in, people lived together. They formed a household.
They did.
You had either the male or the female dominant. They were the dominant in the family, and everyone else was most likely submissive. And they worked together as a family unit. And they knew their place. They knew they were all taken care of. That's why I think the Mormons do it right. Not the ones that have the big, where there's 50 million, but the ones, it was like, I love Big Love.
Oh, I never saw that.
To me, Big Love was an amazing TV show, because he had a house for each one of his wives, and they all lived in the same, in the same block, in the same neighborhood, and they had it so organized. He got Thursday night with one of them. He got Wednesday night with the other one. Monday night with the other one, and they shared in babysitting. They shared in their life. I think that's the way it's supposed to be.
So they had a true commune type family.
I think most of our, they're going to get mad at me when they see this, but I think most of them, it's just all about sex. It's about getting your dick sucked.
Well, no, yeah, that is what it is. And it was partially my fault the last time, because I bought into the ideal that was offered me. And even though, when I saw the dynamic was, going down, when they told me, well, no, we want you to move in with them, I bought it hook, line, and sinker that, oh my God, this is really going to happen. I'm really going to have the poly family that I sit down and have dinner with every night, people that I sleep with, people that I have sex with, people that, I play with. I finally am going to have a family. And yeah, I had that for the first month.
It's because it wasn't, it's how they setting up a poly family is not an easy process.
No, it's not. It's not. And I knew in my heart of hearts that probably wasn't going to happen, but I wanted to believe so badly that it could, that I allowed myself to believe it. And for that, I have to look at my part in that. Knowing that people are human beings, and a lot of times, it has been my experience in this lifestyle that, they are after the next pretty piece of ass they can get their dick into.
It's how many women you can acquire.
Yeah.
Because the more women that you acquire, now I'm talking about male dominance. I don't know that many female submissive or female dominants that collect slaves. Do you know a lot of them that really actually collect slaves?
I know one that goes through them fairly quick.
But she goes through
However,
them, but does she collect them? I mean, to build this huge family. I mean,
no, she doesn't. She's got a process that she goes through, and either they're going to make the cut fairly quick or they're not.
yeah.
You know, but she also does not pull anything on him either. She's right up front about what she expects. She says, "You will, pay tribute to me. This, do this, this, and this. If you can do that, okay, we'll give this a try." And of course,
Well, I think if you're living in the same house, all of you, and
yeah,
people are working, it is okay to, to everyone, helps with the bills and stuff like
yeah,
that. But um, but I think everyone has to be equal, and that's where I see in a lot of poly relationships, people are not equal.
no, I always had to kowtow to whoever the primary girl was. Basically in every relationship, yeah, they say it's the dom or the man that runs it, but I have found in my personal experience, it's already always been the primary woman.
Oh yeah,
That it was her that had to be kept happy. If she wasn't happy, nobody was happy.
yeah, the
The
alpha
alpha,
slave.
yes.
But there's, I've seen some successful poly relationships
True.
where the alpha slave was, very compassionate toward the others, other slaves in the household. But it takes a really unique situation. And when I, they go, Art says equal. He also goes, poly is what's that word? I can't say it.
Convenient.
Okay, I thought it was convenient.
Oh yes,
Is it con-
we used to just call it an open marriage or an open
See,
relationship.
okay. Thank you for that's
In my
that's the word I
20s,
was
that's
looking
what we
for.
called it because we didn't really know the word poly.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of my relationships were more poly than open relationship. But I didn't know any other word. And when people heard open relationship, they automatically assumed I was free property to grab.
Yeah.
I remember somebody at one of my jobs found out and sexually assaulted me on the job because he thought it would be okay to come up and grab me at the Xerox machine and start pulling at my nipples.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
not okay.
No, it's not okay. Here I was 22 years old and he had to be in his 40s or 50s.
Yeah, that's not okay.
He should have understood that I was a young lady and I was freshly married and these were all new things to me. And he just took it as, oh, well, he lets her woman, she's up for the fuck. It's like, oh my God,
people, they're crazy. They're crazy.
They are crazy.
Little T has a question for the guest. If I dress up as a tall man, will you go out with me?
Aww.
You can sit in the front seat. I will not tease, and I will pay attention to you. She says, not being sarcastic. I love you, little T. I love you. Yeah, so I have, poly is, I think that it can work underneath the right circumstances. But I think so many people, when you said open marriage or open relationship, that's what a lot of the poly is right now. It's an open relationship. Yeah. It's not really a firm commitment.
No.
Because look at how many poly families fail. Look at how many people get into a poly situation in a household, and then they're gone within months or a year or even less than that. So I think that I don't think that if you don't have the right mindset for it, I think that it can fail.
Well, absolutely. There has to be a certain degree of commitment among the individuals that are involved, and you have to agree on what the what you think your definition of poly is going to be and how you're going to run your family. Don't just assume, oh, we all had good sex and everything. Oh, let's just live together. It's more than that. I mean, it's just like, when the difference between just living together and getting married, what it does to some people, even though they've lived together for years, all of a sudden they get married, it changes the rules because it becomes a real commitment.
Yeah, it is.
You lose your back door.
Yeah. It is a commitment, and unless you go into that wholeheartedly and commit yourself into that relationship, it's not going to work. I have a hard time committing myself to one person. I'm very difficult in relationships. I mean, people, I mean, you know my past and my history, a lot
Yes.
of it. I mean, it's been it's been 4.5 years. I think it's 4.5 years since I've even had sex. I haven't even dated. I've tried dating and it just doesn't work out for me because um excuse me.
Well, I think you are very you know what needs you need to have met,
Mhm.
and you need them met in a certain way. So you do have a certain criteria for whom you'll be compatible with. You know enough about yourself that you know what will jive with who you are.
Well, I have two personas, or personas. I have two personas. I have my public persona,
Yes.
and then I have my introvert persona.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't understand that there are those two different sides of who I am. Um, I was at the Lair one night, and a woman, I was talking to her, she was a
Mm-hmm.
therapist, and we were talking, and she says, what do you do after you leave the Lair? What do you do after you teach your classes? I says, I go home and I isolate. She says, you're an introvert. And it never occurred to me until I've sat down and talked to other people that are introverts. We can be very gregarious to the outside world. We can be, it's like lights, camera, action, on.
Mm-hmm.
And then bam. Robin Williams, when he died, made me cry so deeply. And it wasn't the loss of just another great, talented actor, because I think he was more than a great. I think he was the classic comedian who had the most bright and intelligent and creative mind that you've ever seen. His spontaneity was something that came naturally to him, and I think it was his manic. It was his manic way of handling life. And then to find out that he goes into such bad depressions and that he would do something like that, it really touched my heart because I think a lot of introverts, you know, have that ability to isolate themselves and they go into a deep depression. It's very difficult to get out.
It is difficult to get out, and it was like, I was so sad when that happened, but I so understood him at that point in time more than I ever understood him.
Yeah,
I know that despair,
yeah.
and I know how people with depression fight it,
Oh,
and it isn't easy. It isn't easy.
it's horrible. Uh, I'm not going to go back to poly, but I'm just going to make the comment
Yes.
that little Tora says. I think some poly results in someone not wanting commitment. It's easy. It's an easy way to avoid it. Right.
Very
Yeah.
true.
But getting back to introverts and um, an extrovert is always on. They're always out there. They thrive. It's like an ex friend of mine. She used to go to restaurants because she said she needed the energy by herself, and that was grabbing energy from where you're at instead of. I think introverts have the ability to grab that energy from their own center. Because if I should never have anybody in my life again, if I should never have a significant other, um, if I should be on a island by myself, I think I still could be happy. Depression.
Hmm.
Sometimes depression is boredom. Sometimes,
Sometimes it is.
yeah, and sometimes it's um. Oh, she says, and some DOMs use it as a cover. For many of us, have a way of self-serving. Yeah, that's right. But I mean, how many? When I teach my classes, I'm on. Friday night, the last Friday
Hmm.
that I did my class, full house, standing room
Yes.
only. It was absolutely amazing. And I walked in 11 minutes after 8, and my class doesn't start till 8:30, and and I started telling almost my comedy routine, and they were having a blast. And I was throwing out chocolate to everybody because I have to do. Chocolate makes me
Uh-huh.
hyper. Chocolate is like moonshine with me. It makes me extremely hyper. I must have been an ADD child of some sort or something because it just makes me.
It's the theobromide.
Oh,
Gets us all.
it hits me. It's like bam. I go nuts on it. You give me chocolate, I'm happy. And so I pass out chocolate, and it was probably, I have to say, out of all the years, the 12 years that I've been teaching at the Lear, it's probably the best class I've ever taught.
Nice.
It was spontaneous. All my classes are spontaneous. I love to teach. I love new people that come into the lifestyle. I've taught thousands and thousands of people.
And that is so totally amazing.
And I have people that teach classes like mine. They come in just to take notes.
That's true. That's true, because there are a lot of classes now where, a few years ago, beginning classes were not that uncommon. There were a few people teaching, like some bondage classes, some flogging classes, some of the spanking, some of the basic skills, but mostly, you'd have to go to like a convention to get a whole bunch of classes.
Yeah, the Lear's they've been doing Insight ever since they started 14 years ago. I took it over 12 years ago, and it was before I took it over, it was not a successful class. The Insight afterwards, the main event was always successful, but nobody sat in on the new class. You maybe have one or two people, if that. And my classes are filled, and since they moved it to Friday, and there's a play party afterwards, I mean, I get to see the cream of the crop that is coming into our BDSM lifestyle.
Nice.
And what I can say about students that have been in my class, 2 or 3 years or 5 years down the line, they surpass me in their play and in their knowledge. I'm just a prelude to understanding, and I love. It's like they're your children,
mm-hmm.
and you watch them grow. You watch. You help put that foundation down of honesty and integrity. Your word is your bond. Don't ever lose your voice to submissives. It's so important for me to teach that. I teach it in every class, because and people have come up to me and said, I wish that I would have come to this class before I would have met so and so and got hurt, and I would have avoided everything. I would have avoided toxic sociopaths, because there's so many in our lifestyle.
There are a few, but we're all human beings trying to find our way.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know. I have a pet peeve of sociopaths. You know me. Her and I've talked about it.
Yes.
She's like, I don't know if I want to go there.
Because I have a tendency to hook up with them, but it's because I'm attracted to people of great power. Brain power. There is something I cannot resist, the intellectual. Somebody that truly has something to say. It excites me.
But there are people that are not narcissistic sociopaths that have that great brain power. It is the narcissistic sociopaths that have no compassion for another human being, and they're only out for themselves, and that's what bothers me.
Well, yes, and I've experienced those people.
Yeah, they come in all shapes and sizes.
And they do, and I have to tell you that all three of those gentlemen that affected me greatly also have a vulnerability and a chink in their armor and a reason as to why they are this way. Not to defend them, but each one of them has some traumatic childhood incident that causes them to seek out this attention that they seem to be deficit of.
But, see, I can understand that. But there are also people that have had traumatic childhood that aren't horrible people.
I know.
And they make that choice as they get older. And I think the difference between this is this is gonna be really fucked up.
It's okay. I think I'm just searching for forgiveness at this point in my life for the wrongs that have been done to me.
I forgive, but I don't forget.
And I'm searching for the redeeming things, and I don't want to be angry at these people anymore. It doesn't do me any favors, and what I'm trying to do is learn from it and not repeat their mistakes with the people that will be serving me and want to be associated with me. And I take what I went through, and I choose to learn from that and not repeat their mistakes, and I take that as a gift that they've given me. I'm really working hard on forgiveness. As you can tell, I'm really working hard on it.
But forgiveness is really important. But it also, sometimes it takes, the most important part about forgiveness is to forgive yourself for taking that responsibility, forgive yourself, and this is how I try to do it, allowing yourself to look at the real picture of what it was, taking time with the hurt, that hurt, feel it, understand it, comprehend it, dissect it, look at it. Sometimes it's easier to forgive and let go, and sometimes it's harder because it's gotten to the core of who you are. And when you can forgive someone that has gotten to that core of you, then you know that you're on a road to recovery. There are certain steps that you go to for recovery. One is anger, one is denial, and then you get to the forgiveness. You get through the healing process. So it's all of these different steps that we take, and it all depends on how deeply those wounds are and how deeply you've been affected by them. There's only two people that I know that I am trying to forgive and forget, and her and I have had many conversations about them. And then there's people that I have forgiven that I didn't think I would ever forgive. But when you learn not to carry the monkey on your back, when you process it, like I said, there's only two people that I'm having a hard time processing letting go. And it's because there's no common sense in either one of them. And I can't comprehend how people can, in our community, can be respected when we know they're nothing but fuckers.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And they're conning everybody. And it's like nails on a chalkboard with me.
Yeah.
But then there's people that do things to me, and there's smaller things. And with those people, I will heal, and I will go up to them, and I will take responsibility for my actions, and I will make amends with them. And I've done it. Out of all the people I've pissed off in this lifestyle, I've pissed off a lot of them. Pissed off, I should have at least 100 more people that I should be pissed off at, and I'm not. There's only two people, and I have my reasons for them, and I'm trying hard to let it go. But it's a difficult process for me, and I think that because I see these people repeating and hurting people, and there's nothing that I can do. When you constantly see people being hurt, and you can't do anything about it, and if you do something about it, if you do say something to someone, they're going to look at you. You're jaded because you were hurt. Yeah. Get over it. And if I could stop people from making the mistakes that I've made, it would be great. But everyone has their own journey.
Well, they absolutely do. There's been, young ladies at the dungeon, and, they didn't understand why sometimes I gave them tough love, and sometimes I coddled them. Sometimes they just didn't want to hear that, what, I've been through this before. I could help you if you want to listen. But they weren't ready to listen.
No, because people don't really, they have to learn for themselves.
Yeah.
There are people that you can go up to them and say, knock it off. This person isn't good for you. They will pay attention, and they will make a better choice. And there's some people, you can say it to them 50 million times, and they won't understand until they really get hurt. My friend that we were very, very close during our whole friendship, and I was very angry with her dominant anyways. And I kept saying, I don't know why you're with him. And then finally, without me helping her, she did this on her own. The veil came off, and she saw what a horrible person he was. And she got hurt. But then she got her freedom. But it took 6 months for her to heal. She slept on my couch for 6 months. Why, she cried her eyes out for this man who deserved not one fucking tear. And he's the epitome of a narcissistic sociopath. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. Art Miller said, forgiving yourself is tough. Yes, it is. And spanking. It is really hard to go back to someone to bury past issues. Yeah, it is.
It is.
And one day, all of these problems will be gone. They're in the big picture of life. They don't mean anything. in 5 years from now, I'm getting older. I'm not a spring chicken, and
Me neither.
I'm evaluating my life. I'm going to be 63 in May 2nd. So I'm looking at my life and I'm saying, okay, how do I want to spend the rest of my life? Do I want to spend it in turmoil, in drama? And that's why I don't get involved in a lot of the drama that's out there. She's a very good friend of mine. Only she knows how I feel about certain things. I don't broadcast it out to the public because I don't think it's important. Darren has just come in the chat room. Welcome, Darren.
Oh, welcome, Darren.
I'm her guest tonight, Darren. Darren is a wonderful man. He was my submissive for a very long time. A man of tremendous honor, respect. I care very deeply for this young man. I think that he's an amazing, gentle soul. He reminds me of an I don't know, of a fairy soul. That's light, colorful, musical. Such kindness in this person. And he's very quiet, and he's not a huge talker. He needs to have his voice more. But he does. He's a magnificent human being.
Yeah, he is. I've met him. Yeah. He's wonderful.
He's adorable.
But he's like one of those people. They speak louder through their actions than their words.
Mm-hmm.
And that really speaks truth. Is people's actions.
Well, I think it's all imprinted into our DNA, whether you're submissive or dominant. Just because I don't have a submissive doesn't make me not dominant. No. I'm a dominant personality. He's a submissive personality, but he also has his voice. He also, when he sees something that isn't right, he will talk about it. Him and I will never talk politics. I'm not going to talk politics either on the show. Never mind. Okay.
That's right. Any non-political questions in the chat room now?
Well, I'm an obsessive personality.
Yes.
And these are things that I'm discovering. As I told Cassie, I think last week or something like that I never knew I had things until things were put labels on me. And I'm processing all the labels. What doctors have said who I am.
Yes, labels. People have been trying to label me since I was a little girl. I remember overhearing adults having conversations about me, not thinking that I was smart enough to comprehend what they were talking about. Saying, there's something wrong with this child. And using the psychological terms and just thinking that at 9 years old, I could not comprehend what they were saying. I was a precocious child. I did understand what they were saying. It's amazing how people love to put labels on things.
Well,
I think it makes them more comfortable.
Yeah, I think it does too, but it's also, I'm starting to understand why I am like I am, which I just thought I was unique and quirky. But there are reasons why I'm like I am. But you know what? I think when you take a clear picture and look at yourself, you dissect who you are. You go in, you look at this corner, you look at this corner, you look at this inch, you look at this square, you look at this round circle, you look at all these things and you put them in their place, and you really take a good look. Even though there are labels, there are certain personality traits that I have that is undeniable. And it's helping me process the part of, the fifth grade school teacher saying that I was basically retarded, incapable of learning. Now I know. Now I know the reason why. Now I know why I didn't fit into that little peg that every student, because I remember they didn't have names for things when I was growing up. We were just incapable of learning. We were basically retarded. But I was a pretty
they had remedial classes, regular classes, and if you were really lucky and went to a progressive school, there were classes for advanced students.
No, we didn't. No, we just had regular elementary school, junior high school, and high school. I hated school because the only place I was happy in was chorus, and I really did not have a good voice, because we were always drunk in the class anyways. art, art classes. I loved art classes, but I never fit in to what they wanted me to fit into. I was incapable of spelling. I was incapable of doing math. My grammar was so bad. Art Miller says snow leopard. Yes, I'm a snow leopard.
She is, and she's gorgeous, isn't she?
Oh, thank you. Not bad for an old broad. So, you learn things. Talking about old broads, I'm in this group on FetLife called Younger Men Who Like Older Women.
Oh, yes, I've seen the group.
So I put in 5 reasons why I like younger men.
Oh.
And I got to tell you something, I probably had at least 45 men ask to be my friend on FetLife after that posting.
Really?
Yeah. They're all like 22 years. It's hysterical. I mean, absolutely hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. I go, they smell good. They have a great sense. They're a lot of fun. They're open to new ideas. Men my age are not quite open to new ideas. I do like them younger. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was hysterical. Absolutely funny.
Oh. But these are all good things, though. We do like it when they're not so set in their ways, which unfortunately, as men get older, most of them become very set in their ways because they really know what it is that they like.
Yeah. I think men that get into BDSM when they're a little bit older, and I think they think out of the box. I think there's hope for them.
Yeah.
But I think it's some of the vanilla men that there's no hope for them because they don't want to change. There's nothing new. Opening that box, taking out new ideas, looking at things a new way, changes your whole perspective on life. And
well, it does. I've been corresponding with a gentleman off and on for about 1.5 years. He wants to do a certain kind of role play. And I honestly don't think he's going to grant this fantasy to himself. I think he's so scared of going there that it's just never going to happen, that he's going to keep coming up with an excuse as to why he can't do this session. And I just put it point blank to him. I said, you're not getting any younger. What are you planning on doing this at 80?
Because people live in fear. There's always that what if.
Yeah.
What if that? I think fear is the only sin. I think when you're fearful, it's the only sin that we have. When we're fearful of speaking up, when we're fearful of holding back, when we're fearful of letting go, all of these things is our way of stopping us from doing the things that are good for us and that where we can learn on our journey. Our journeys are so important. It's so important to learn, to experience new things. If you do that, it's like how many people that are trust fund babies who have really done some horrific, horrible things in this world, who are so fucked up because they've never had to work for anything.
And not being accountable.
Yeah, accountability. And in BDSM, accountability is so important. If I'm playing with somebody and I goof up, I'm going to stop that scene or momentarily stop that scene, go up to the person that I'm playing with, and I will say to them, I'm sorry. You got to take responsibility for whatever you do in your life. It's so, responsibility, it's, if you live your life taking that personal responsibility, you can change yourself and you can change the world. Like I said, changing the world one vanilla at a time. I really think that we do. Spanky says, I think as I get older, it's becoming easier to try new things or just reach out for the things that have been in the back of my mind. Spanky, you're really, you're very much of an inspiration to so many people because, yeah, you are, you are above the age of 40. And you have seen so much, and you have brought so much into the community. People like you because they like Spanky because he's genuine, he's unique, he's transparent, and he he takes responsibility for his life. If I was a submissive, I would, yes, let him spank me, and because I would trust him. He's an amazing person. Art Miller said, fear is tied to the evolutionary. I don't have my reading glasses. Fear is tied to the evolutionary. Isn't fear the price? Isn't fear the piece that drives the subspace? At least a catalyst? I don't know. I'm not a submissive. Does it?
Can I read it?
That's the last one. Did I read it right? I don't have my reading glasses.
Oh. It says fear is tied to the evolutionary. You know, I mean, when we're talking about fear,
But
and
is
it
it fear
is
and pain is not the same
fight or
thing.
flight.
Fight or flight.
You know, I mean, in
But
evolution, fear's been a big part of evolution, getting us there.
But isn't when you get over fear, then you surrender?
We do, but his part that fear drives subspace, or at least a catalyst, I do have to agree with that. For a lot of subs, the fear is what gets them that excitement point, that gets those endorphins going, that gets them to that subspace. I think that's why so many women have rape fantasies.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's that fear factor that gets them into that elated sense of that headspace.
But how many women, I would love to know this, because I think it's really important talking about the rape thing, and having that rape fantasy. How many of those women have been raped or have not been raped?
Yeah, that's really a question, because being a rape survivor, that is not a fantasy I would choose. Ever. Because my control was lost. I was overpowered.
Yeah.
It was done against my will. Yeah. I did not consent to it in any way, shape, or form. And that's what a rape is, you know. And if you need to surrender that much to get a thrill, you better really, really trust who you're surrendering to, because believe me, honey, you can end up in places you don't want to, and you will be lucky if you live.
Yeah, I can okay. I can understand it if you're with somebody that you care about and that cares about you, and you're in bed, and and you're joking around, and he's I'm gonna rape you, and you already trust this person. But I know women that have set up rape scenes with a complete stranger.
Yes, I've heard of that happening.
And to me, that is illogical. That is risk taking, and they get high on that risk. But I have been raped 2 times.
Sorry.
And it's really an amazing story. So I have to get a pap smear. So I go to the place where I go, and my doctor's no longer there, so they give me to a new doctor, and it's a male doctor. And I was raped by someone from two separate people from the Middle East. And the doctor was from the Middle East.
Oh my goodness.
And he was going to, we set up an appointment. We're setting up an appointment for him to do a pap smear and a breast examination. I go home, and I'm getting, I'm starting to pout. This doesn't feel right. So when I went to my appointment, I met with one of the head nurses, and I sat and I says, I can't do this. And I explained the reason why. So the doctor comes in, and she's already explained to him. He's already aware of the fact they're going to refer me to another doctor for that. And I sat there, and I says, I need to talk to you about this. I says, I have been raped twice by 2 different Middle Eastern men. And I'm obsessing about it. I'm obsessing about what happened. I can't do this. I can't allow myself to go through this. And I says, it has no bearing on you being a good doctor. It has bearing on being in my past experience. Years ago, I would have never spoken up. But because of BDSM, because it has given me myself back. that I now have a voice. I came into the community as a willing victim, and now I'm no longer a willing victim, that I have a voice, and it's a good common sense it's not survival anymore. It's an at peace voice that I've never had before in my entire life. You know, I raised my daughter on my own. I've worked hard. I was a single mother. You know, when she was a year and a half, we got a divorce from her father, and I've been in one abusive relationship after another, one bad relationship after another, and I take responsibility for picking them. I take responsibility. I was this willing victim when I came into the BDSM lifestyle, and I had to work for respect and honor because it just wasn't granted to me.
No.
You know, you come into the community, oh, you're a dom, you're a female dom. We're just going to respect you. No, I had to. When I went to the Lear side, there was no female doms there.
Yeah, I got into the lifestyle, and I said, I have a desire to be trained as a professional dominatrix. And basically, I got a bunch of dudes. Oh no, honey, you're submissive. You know, best doms start out as submissives. Come with me, baby, and try to turn me into a submissive.
I think there's two theories on that. I think that sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I think it all depends on how you're wired. And sometimes you don't know how you're wired until you go through experiences. And I thought I was submissive.
Interesting.
I thought I was submissive because I was nurturing the man that I dated for 18 years. I would give him back massages, give him a blowjob whenever he wanted. I mean, I was just, I would have done anything for this man. But I also didn't have my voice. I was very submissive and subservient to him. So when I got into the lifestyle, that's who I thought I was. Until a very remarkable male dominant man that I dated who would not play with me. There's two of them, two right back on back, Hans and the other one, never played with me as a submissive, never. And I asked the second one, I said, well, why? And he goes, because you're not a submissive.
Interesting.
He saw the dominant in me. He said I was a princess, and I joke about it a lot, There's no princesses in BDSM, but I found out there is.
They're doms.
What?
They're doms.
Yeah, they're doms. Yeah, female princess doms. Yeah.
Yes.
And I happen not to be one of them. I am naturally a dominant personality, but yet I think because of my background, I know when to be dom or dom lead, and I know when to sit back and just allow the energy of my dominance be present. Dominance is not beating your chest and going, this is who I am, I'm dominant, respect me, I'm going to control everything in the world. Sometimes dominant is just sitting there and watching the room and looking, being patient, being understanding. Dominant people should be nurturing. They should be compassionate. I think those are fabulous qualities in a dominant, is to have that compassion toward another human being. And I love the saying with Guy Baldwin, I will hurt you, but I will never harm you. And I've had someone at one of my nemesis,
yes,
spoke out at a live event saying that he had a problem with that, which I was so dumbfounded because those are some of the wisest words that anybody in our BDSM lifestyle has ever spoken.
Yes.
And that to me was very very off base, and this is a man that Guy Baldwin is a man who's written several books. He is a psychiatrist.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, he is amazing. He is a pillar in the community. People that seek a lot of help go to him, as I think he's a therapist or a psychiatrist. I think he's a therapist. Is he a therapist or a psych? I think he's a therapist.
I really am not sure.
But he is. I've interviewed him. He is amazing. It's the only interview that I've ever done that I was terrified to do. I was terrified of interviewing Guy Baldwin. Before the show, I joked with him about questions that I asked, like, how big is your cock? He said to me, I give him a lot of respect for speaking up. If you ask me those questions, I will get up and walk out. I was terrified. And then I was supposed to book a makeup person for him, and I forgot. So I did his makeup, thank God. oh, thank God I know how to do it.
Yes.
And and I was really scared to interview him. And you could gradually see us in our interview moving closer and closer together and having this intimate conversation as if the cameras were turned off. There was nothing else that mattered. And he talked from the heart. And the wisdom that he had was so extraordinary. It's the guests that come in and share their stories that touches my heart. I know it touches yours too.
You know, some of my shows, it's just like there was no way to choreograph that or plan that show, because we touched these heart points at the right time, and these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And and they genuinely share from their soul, which is amazing. I've been so blessed to have so many wonderful guests on my show.
Oh, it's been an honor. And she's up to like 35,000 people on her Symbian show that has watched the show. Darren in the chat room says, submitting when you are not a submissive will not make you a better Dom. If you are a Dom, your perceptive is not going to be the same. I agree and I disagree. There's a reason why.
Oh, I want to hear your take on it.
I've often wondered if I was wired a switch. Okay? I've often wondered that. And then when I allowed my last submissive, Matthew, to scene with me, and it went from 6 o'clock in the evening to 4 o'clock in the morning, I think it's made me a better dominant. And the reason why is because I know that I'm not a switch. I know that I am wired true dominant inside of my being. And also now I know where submissives go in subspace. And what's most important, I know where they go in sub-drop. It is horrendous.
It is.
If you don't take care of a submissive after the fact in that sub-drop, and Matthew was very new. He was going through a lot of his own little problems, yes. And we split up 2 weeks later after that. I mean, I dropped into a very bad depression, and then I lost the studio. It was just a one-on-one after that just caused, this domino effect. There was no way to stop it. If Matthew would have known more, and that's not his fault.
No.
He was a submissive wanting to learn how to dominate.
Mm-hmm. And
I think he's found his dominant personality. I think he is a dominant. I think, I really do think he is. A lot of people start out being a submissive because they're not sure of themselves. And then once they discover that part of them, but when you are in the shoes of a submissive and you understand what they go through the pain of it, through the most important thing about that evening was I surrendered. Surrendering never, ever was more clear than that night. How someone can surrender their heart, mind, soul, and body to someone else. And I don't regret it. People have come up to me afterwards and go, well, you're just a submissive, you're hiding. No, I'm not. No, it was a learning curve that was so huge, that was so remarkable, because it showed me who I am. I take pride in my dominance. My word is my bond. When I'm saying, she had this fabulous class on Wednesday. And on Tuesday, I said, well, I'll be there. I want to support you. And at 8 o'clock, I was there. I was there a little bit earlier, about 5 minutes to 8. And I supported her through the class because your word is your bond. As a dominant, if you say you're going to do that, do it. Spanky says, as a switch, I think that I have a different perspective towards being a prospective dom. It doesn't make me better, just aware in a different manner. Yeah, it's that awareness, Spanky. That awareness and that clarity that it gives to you, it is just, it's like the veil's taken off. For someone to give me what I gave Matthew, I mean, it tears at your heart and soul.
It does.
I mean, I took one beating after another, canes on my behind, and the room was spinning. It was spinning so bad that I could barely stand up, and I've never been to that place. Well, I've been it sexually, but Never been to that place before. So I think Doms should experience something like that if they choose to.
If they choose to.
Yeah.
Now, not every dom may actually be able to be
Mhm.
submissive, but they should feel they should at least have some bottoming experience to feel at least the physical effect of what they're doing to somebody. You know, even though they may not be able to get into that subspace, I think at least being a responsible dominant, they need to understand the strength of their own physical being and their mental strength,
Yep.
and how that can affect another person. You know, we have no idea how strong we are as human beings. You know, when I play with people, people don't understand why I just won't play with anybody. It's like, you need to get to know me at a couple things before I play with you. I need to know a few things about you. You know, I want to be safe on both ends.
It's letting go.
Yeah. It's like, I know personally, I'm afraid to submit anymore. I've been through some very bad experiences, and a part of me still wants to submit to somebody, but I know I can never actually do that in a DS dynamic anymore. My trust has been broken.
Your trust has been broken, but your awareness, that's one thing about what happens in the lessons that we learn in life. We become more aware of what we will put up with and what we will not put up with. If you develop a trust with someone and that person is authentic and transparent, but not just mouthing the words, how many people do we know in our lifestyle that throw those words around? I'm transparent, I'm authentic, and they're not.
No,
They're
not.
manipulative.
They are, and the few people that I have cautiously reached out to don't understand just how hard it is for me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
But this is still new too. I mean, this is a fresh new start for you.
Well, it is.
So it's going to take process, and I think you're doing really well.
But also, I look at, the strong example I had growing up. My mom was a very strong woman, though she was expected to fulfill a submissive role in her life, because that's what a wife's role was at that time. You obeyed your husband.
Yeah.
But you know what? She's the strongest person I know on the face of the earth. Yes, she did what she was expected of her, and then she went above and beyond. This woman got her college degree between 5 kids.
Wow.
Her husband did not allow her to work. When she got her college degree, and she finally went to her and says, "I want to work," and she loved working. She was amazing. She fought for what she wanted, and yeah, she knew she had to fulfill certain roles. But I see that strength in her,
But you have that strength.
Yes, and I do have that.
You have that strength. Because she's a part of you. I mean, she was a good role model for you. Both of your parents were. Because you told me amazing stories about your parents.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
But that's part of, seeing that strength and knowing the roles, knowing that you can be nurturing and still be strong. A dom can be both nurturing and strong.
And we should be. And you know what? I look at life this way.
Yeah.
We're strong, we're dominant, and if we should get sick, we're pussies. We cry, we shit, we have feelings like everybody else.
We do.
It's like an atheist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in God. Okay, I understand that. I respect that you don't believe in God. But what's one of the last things that an atheist will say before they die? God, help me. And they really, I mean, that, if you really look at that, I mean, it's all of our perception on life. And if we live, and I struggle with this all the time, and I do,
mm-hmm.
If we surround ourselves with negativity, and if we voice negativity all the time, we will have negativity come into our life and will impact our life. It is so hard. It is the hardest thing in the world to stay positive in this world. But if we work at it, we try not to let other things affect us, but not be blinded by. That's not the word. We still have to be aware. I mean, that's why I follow politics. I'm not going to get into it right now. That's why, because the only reason I follow politics is because I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware. And when the blinders came off, I went, what the fuck is happening to our world? It's the same thing in BDSM. When we see things, if we have tunnel vision and we only see what we want to see, it's not going to help our community. You've got to see the whole big picture, the negative and the positive part of it. But then we have the ability to have that choice in what we want to participate in. And I choose the positive part of our community, which is so, as you know, it is so difficult.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why I am such an introvert, because when I go into our community and I see things that tear at my soul, the human part of who I am, I have to come home and heal.
Yes.
Because the only thing that I can do in this world is to show up for my life. It's the only thing I can do.
Sit up and show up.
Yep. It's the only thing you can do. You don't know where, you can't change everybody. You can't change the world. You can only change who you are and your perspective on life. That's all you can do.
That's true.
And will I retire one day? Yeah, we know I will. Will I walk away from BDSM? Yes, I will. I'm getting older. I do not see myself at 80 years old flinging a flogger. I may be wrong. I may be dead wrong.
I think it's going to transition into basically a BDSM intellectual type relationship with your friends. I think that we will grow beyond the physical need to do a lot of these things, but I think that we will still cling to the values that we get from this lifestyle, safe, sane, and consensual. Our stories and memoirs will be fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think, I don't.
12 years of documenting. All of these interviews.
Exactly. I see myself writing about this as I get older.
Yeah.
I may, finally go and finish my degree, go write some papers, write some books. But, there's a certain amount of this lifestyle that really inspires my creativity and has brought me, helped me figure out things I couldn't have figured out any other way. Now, do I want to be in the club portion of this so much in the future? You know what?
I use the club. I go to the club for socializing.
Yeah.
When if I don't sit home alone, because I tend to stay home alone a lot, and when I do that, I overeat, and I'm a stressed eater. So, I tend to stay home and nurture myself, which is not a healthy thing to do. And I go to the Liversaad because it's close. It's my home. I love that place.
Well,
I love
and it's a more social atmosphere, because I work at Sanctuary. I love Sanctuary.
So do I.
It is. I devote my life to that place. But when I go to the parties there, it's a working thing for me. I can't go there to sit and relax. When I go to the lair, I can sit down and have a conversation with somebody.
Conversations are important.
And I'm not expected to be on, and I usually don't have guys chasing me all over the damn dungeon.
Yeah. I'm always on when I'm at a dungeon. Oh, guest 159 said, for a person who has been very dom but now has feelings of femme, is that strange, or where can a person go to learn more about femme? A femdom? You can go to any of the clubs to learn about being more.
That's a little, because I know some doms that are into feminism, and they believe that in female supremacy, and such as Princess Marks. That's very much her thing.
Yeah.
Very much, female dominant. You will worship me. I am the princess.
See, I think
You know, if that's what they're
I
asking.
think that's an act.
Are they just asking for a female that is more dominant, or are they a dominant that's finally discovering their female side, or their femme side? Are there more nurturing qualities of being a dom?
Well, when I talk about dom, when I use the word dom, I use the word dom for both male and female.
I do too. I see it as an abbreviation of dominant. Now, when I am writing it out, I will change the spelling between D-O-M-M-E and D-O-M, but not when I'm talking.
Yeah, I don't put the dom A at the end of it. I just put I'm a female dom. Questions and stuff in the chat room.
Oh, what's going on in the chat room?
Spanky said there's a man in his 80s who used to come to my parties and couldn't play standing or sitting, so he would stretch out on my bed and have his partner lay next to him, and he would play. I'm going to be that guy. I love that. Little T says, "There's not is not there more to BDSM or a DS dynamics than play?" Yes, there is. Rev Mel, you still can be a loving dom or dame and have a loving slave submissive without the physical, even at 80. Thank you. Yes, for a guy to go and learn about being girly and dress up. Yes, you can. There's lots of places you can go to learn to do dress up. And
matter of fact, I do sessions like that. If you want to book a session with me at Sanctuary, you know, we can definitely explore this. I can teach you how to do your makeup. I can dress you up. We can go through mannerisms, training. Do you want to be a sissy maid? Or are you just exploring your feminine side? Do you want me to turn you into a stripper? Do you desire to be humiliated as a femme? Or do you truly want to know what it feels like to dress like a woman? I have transformed some men into just beautiful women. You know, what is your fantasy?
Yeah, and you've got to tune into your fantasy. There's groups on FetLife that there are, you know, femination groups. So go to those groups.
Feminization, sissification. There's sissy maid groups. There's people that are into cross dressing. It's like what part of the femme are you desiring to explore? You know, I used to date men that were cross dressers, but they were not transvestites. They just enjoyed wearing women's clothes now and again. Most of them didn't go out in public dressed as women, but I have to tell you, one guy, when he decided he didn't want to wear nylons in the bedroom anymore, I just couldn't get it up for him anymore.
You know, and don't be fearful. Go after what you want. You know, address what you want in your life. Go after it. You know, and do not hide in shame. That's one of the things that you cannot do, and that's one of the things that when people are starting to realize that they like to wear women's clothing, they start to have that shameful. What if someone catches me? What if someone finds out? You know, what if I'm found out? What will people think of me? And the shame that goes along with it. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of the things that you want to discover about yourself. Because on this road, in this lifetime, you have one shot at learning about who you are. Go after what you want. Open it up. Guest 5159 says, just expiring and would love to do a session. Well, you can get a hold of Miss Cassie. Where? She's the host of the show, not me.
Yes, you can get a hold of me. If you want to make a session for me, you can give Sanctuary a call at 310-910-0525 and tell them you'd like to schedule a session with me. Matter of fact, I am working there Thursday and Friday this week from 11 to 4. And when I teach my rope classes on Saturdays, on those Saturday afternoons, I will see clients as well after class. So you can call them. You can also go to the website, www.sanctuarylax.com, if you need to look up the address, the information, the rates, prices, and schedules.
And she has heart, which is so important. You know, she's just not out there for your money. She has heart. She has sensitivity. She has compassion. And that's why I like her. She's an amazing woman.
Oh, thank you, Mel.
You're welcome, honey.
And you can also email me if you want to talk a little bit before we do anything. My email address is misscassielovesrope@gmail.com. You can also find me on FetLife, Miss_Cassie, or on Facebook, I'm Clue Darker. I've also got a Clue Darker account on FetLife as well.
Yeah,
and that's Clue, CLOU.
I didn't have a clue.
Clue, CLOU, yes.
Little T says, I need to go to sleep now. I love you, Rev Mel. And good night, Cassie and everyone. Bye, Little T. I love you.
Thank you for tuning in.
Little T's wonderful. She gave me a biggest hug when she came to the leather picnic a few years ago. That was such a wonderful delight. Wonderful
bless
delight.
Her heart.
Yeah, it's been chat room. Ask questions. What do you want to know? I'm the guest today.
Yes, you guys can start talking about whether you think this one's naughty or nice.
Yeah, well,
I think you're nice. I really do.
I'm a good soul.
You are a good soul.
I've like I said, I know what it's like to be bullied. I know what it's like to be hurt. I would never want to do that to anybody else, even though I can do humiliation. If somebody really likes humiliation, but I do my humiliation with humor. And also after I do a humiliation scene with somebody, I sit down and we talk about it. Nice. It's like Darren. One of the humiliation scenes that I did with him was something that was absolutely sheerly delightful. And it was, not making fun of him, but I had him on a table at the Lair, center stage, and I had him in the nude doing I'm a Little Teapot.
Aww.
And it was so incredible. All the other female dominants were joining in, and then when we kept saying, "No, you did that wrong," and it was great. It was great. It was so hysterical. You get in that hysterical fun mood, and
oh no, I used to love that one dom that I would play with. We would get silly, and just do fun stuff, and you'd go, "Okay, be a fish," and I'd go, or whatever the little fish things that they do. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I'm not a fishy person. I'm a bull.
And we would just do fun stuff, and just be animals or different things, and laugh and just laugh.
That's the best. Best scenes to play.
I mean, I hated it, but he taped my nose up like a pig one time and tied my head in bondage and made fun of me and made me oink. But it was hilarious! Oh my God! At first I was mortified. By the time we were done, everybody was having such a good time. I'm just like, I'm so glad I could be your entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, when you have humor in it, there's a guy there's one guy at the Lair who his name was Greg, and it was a femme night. It was Venus night, and everybody it was like the round of spanking of the round, and I got this big paddle and says we're going to hit him. He doesn't like to do a lot of pain. I said, I'm going to hit you with this really bad. Close your eyes, lean over. And instead of hitting him, I tickled him, and he just tickling him. He loves to be tickled. I mean, this man. I mean, he screams. I mean, it's a scene, and so we had a great time doing that. And then there's a guy named Tim that comes to the Lair, which is basically he put a helmet on someone, and then he takes a saw, this not saw, but this thing, grinder, and just sparks all over the head. I mean, it's hysterical to watch.
Oh, wow.
Hysterical to watch him use this grinder. I mean, and he does the most ridiculous. I haven't seen him do his crazy scenes in such a long time. They would have you on the floor laughing and laughing. He was comical. His voice was comical. The things that he said was comical. Great timing. They're saying Art says I'm nice. Heather says I'm nice. Spanky said both. And Darren says, sure you don't. What? Humiliate? I got to be in a good place. Spanky, one of the most fun scenes I had was spanking someone with a Bible paddle while she's saying Good Ship Lollipop.
That's really cute. Oh my God, that is really sweet. But I have to tell you, my more creative scenes that I've done with submissives, and I have them do the silly stuff, they love it. I did a slave training at one of our submit parties down at Sanctuary, and I had about 6 different submissives in the room, I think. And I had them all doing this series of slave positions and everything. Slave position number 4 is all fours. And so I split the room. I said, okay, males, position 4. Females, jump on the males, horsey time, ride them out of the room.
Guest on 5519 says, do you like men all dressed up and sexy and girly? Is that for the both of us? Do you?
Well, actually, I find men more attractive when they're dressed up girly.
Do you?
Well, then again, I prefer women, so there might be a little something to that. It depends on the man, actually. I've had some gorgeous beefcake over the years where you would not want to feminize that. It was just too Adonis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My first slave that I actually owned for 5 years, he used to like to dress. And there's one time I did his hair and his makeup and dressed him, and he was sitting out. Let me clarify that. She was sitting out on the patio. It was very risky because I managed the building. It was very risky for her to be out there dressed as a woman, up on the second floor, people could see. And that was a lot of, we got rid of a lot of the fear base on it. And she looked beautiful. And she looked absolutely beautiful. I mean, she was 6'8", so she was very masculine,
stunning,
very big person, not heavy, but very tall, lean, big shoulders, and she looked absolutely beautiful that evening. And we ended up making love in front of the fireplace and all these things. I have my moments, and then I have my not moments. It all depends on what kind of mood I'm in. It also depends on the character of someone.
The intention of the dress up.
Yeah.
And, because there's been so many times where I've feminized guys for different reasons. A lot of times it was for Halloween because that's the one free pass of the year when men can dress as women and not being labeled.
Yeah.
Which is so sad because.
And so many do.
And they do because it's the one night they can be free and do that, and people will just think it's just a Halloween kick, But I have to tell you, these guys, they love it, and I have seen some of the most beautiful men on Halloween.
Yeah.
I've made some really beautiful men men into women on Halloween.
Yeah, we used to go to this place. It was a strip club, and it was here in Los Angeles. And I mean, some of the women that were men but dressed and that were performers, they were absolutely incredibly beautiful. And I think my best advice to someone that does feminization or that has that desire is follow your heart. Do what feels right to you. I mean, that's the most important thing that you can do, is everything that we do in our life, do what feels right to you. If it feels wrong, it is wrong. If it feels right, then go ahead and do it. I mean, don't let other people judge you. Don't let other people try to put their perspective of what they want you to do on you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the happiest people I know are people that have explored things about them. I have a friend, and it is so unfortunate because he looks somewhat effeminate.
Just one friend? No.
Well, I have lots of friends, but he's very effeminate.
Yeah.
He just looks very feminine, and a lot of people mistakenly just assume he's gay. He's not.
Yeah.
Not in any way, shape, or form. But he embraces his feminine side, and because he is so feminine, he actually did some explore, he did some cross-dressing and tried some glam makeup and stuff. He says, it was fun, but he says, I am truly attracted to women. I'm so attracted that sometimes I like to dress like them and be like them, and I like to be in the kitchen and discuss things and like that. He says, I could give a hoot about sporting events. I'd rather talk about needlepoint.
Mm-hmm.
He says, that's just who I am. And, this whole thing about, you must be a woman thing was just stupid. He says, women is what gets me hard.
Yeah.
And it's less, and it's true. You take one look at this guy and you swear to God, he gotta be gay, right? He's not.
Yeah,
he's just not. He is just the most feminine straight guy you'll ever meet.
There's a lot of them out there.
They are, but you know, he loves who he is and he just embraces himself 100%. And he's extremely happily married right at this moment in time.
I have a pet peeve about something.
You do?
Yeah, about all of this.
Oh, well, do tell.
Okay. Sometimes it takes a little bit of catching up in the world to understand what we do. A lot of people will make mistakes and they'll call when someone is dressed, they'll still call them a he.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see people yelling at that person because, they get so really upset. You've got to give us time to catch up. This is all new in society.
Yeah.
This is all new. All of these terms and all of these things, this is all new. And you've got to give humanity and society time to process it. It's like a child does not learn, how to spell a word or how to pronounce a word until they've heard it something like 40 or 50 or 100 times. Mm-hmm. You've got to let society catch up. And we're going to make mistakes.
Well, we are. There's been so many people. I wasn't sure if they were living yet as a man or a woman or how I was supposed to address them. And, the hormone treatment at that point in time hadn't really feminized them enough yet for you to be able to tell what their preference was, especially if they dressed gender neutral that night.
Yeah. And if you know somebody as a male all the time.
Yeah, one time I made a mistake really and I felt so bad. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, honey, but your voice is so deep and you've got hair on your chest.
Yeah.
I truly apologize. I didn't mean that, and I'll never make that mistake again.
Well, that's the problem with being politically correct. When you're politically correct on every aspect of your life, it censors us. It censors our thought pattern. It censors our creativity. There's a reason that we communicate. I am not politically correct.
Well, it's hard to be 100% politically correct all the time because you never know what the new terminology is half the time.
I mean, if you would come over to me and say, hey, you're a WAP, I would not be offended by it. I would not be offended by it because I am Sicilian. I am a WAP. And yeah, it's a derogatory sort of way to say it.
It is, but growing up during the 60s, a lot of these terms were commonplace and we didn't know they were derogatory.
No, we didn't.
It was just that you called so-and-so a spick, so-and-so a mix, so-and-so a what.
Yeah.
And they're horrible things to say, these days. But I know as a kid, I didn't know any better because that was on the TV. I heard it in movies. I heard my parents saying it. I heard their friends saying it.
We have been censored. We have been censored as a human race. Our censorship has taken our voices away. And that's one of my pet peeves. The thing is that we still need to communicate. If you see somebody walking down the street and you can't even say, well, it was a short blonde woman. It was a perpetrator. That's all you can say. How do you communicate these things? Communication is important. And because we're so wrapped up in being politically correct, and we're changing words right and left. The word queer.
Oh, that has changed meaning so many times.
It's not, it doesn't mean what it meant before. Even when they had that big stink at the in West Hollywood with the one restaurant that had a sign that's been up there since the restaurant was put up there in like the 40s.
Yeah.
Barney's Beanery.
Oh yeah.
And it had a sign that says no fags allowed. Fags. It was a place that was built by British people, and fags meant cigarettes.
Yeah, I always thought that fags really meant cigarettes, and how it transitioned to mean something else. I've never understood the story behind that.
Yes.
Other than somebody made it into a derogatory term.
Well, the only thing is that what happens in our history, in our verbiage of communication, is I can talk to a girlfriend, say, hey, you hoe, you whore, but someone else comes up to you and says, hey, you whore, you'll get really upset. Well, and we talk amongst ourselves and friends and we can tease each other, but when the rest of the world does it, then we exclude ourselves out of it and we get mad. You know what? You call me a hoe? You know what? I worked hard for that. Fine. I don't know if they call me a hoe now. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been a hoe. But when you've walked into a bar in your youth and 5 different men are sitting at the bar and you have fucked all of them and had a one-night stand with each one of them, you start to think, maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Well, that depends over the length of time. Now, if you did them all in one night, Mel, yes, you are a hoe.
No. What I had to figure out was this. I was okay to fuck, but I was not okay to have a relationship with. And I had to start changing myself. I had to start taking and valuing who I was. I didn't like what was going on. I didn't like being left aside. I wanted a relationship. We come on this earth, I don't want the white picket fence. Never wanted the white picket fence. I was never open to marriage after I was married once. Mm-hmm. People would say, well, don't you ever want to get married again? I'd say, no. Why? But you know what? As you get older and you start realizing that it would have been nice to have somebody to share your life with on a permanent level.
But it has to be the right person.
Yeah, it does.
I personally hadn't met the right person. I'm with somebody very special now that I can build this kind of life with. This is a person that actually will sit down and watch game shows with me. Yeah. We have a lot of things in common. We see a future of where we can go. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be in the lifestyle or not in the lifestyle. We're figuring out together what we like to do.
Darren says, "Oh, Rev Mel, I'm going to tell."
What's he going to tell?
About me being a whore. So I have one huge regret in the past few years. Okay. One huge regret. And that was a gentleman named Ken. I don't know if you remember Ken. He had the beard, the white beard. And he was this man that I dated. He was probably the most kindest man that I've ever met in my life. I was so preoccupied with running 7 shows, adding more shows, that he got pushed to the wayside. Oh. And he wasn't getting the attention that he deserved. He was I have to say, he was one of the most decent human beings that I've ever dated. And he was an amazing man. And that's one of my biggest regrets. So that's just, plain and honest.
Well, honesty is a good trait.
Yeah, but trying to find someone that has the traits that he has, that he had, it's really difficult.
No, I truly understand, because I've been looking for a relationship for a very long time. And I did something that was untrue to myself. I went back to dating men, and that was not a good thing for me. I admire them. I've had some great sex with men, but that is not truly a relationship for me. I was hung up on a lot of the whole societal ideals of, vanilla lifestyle and what we're supposed to do, which is part of the reason why I went back and, going, okay, maybe I should try to marry a man and do this whole thing and everything. And I would meet a decent guy and I would try, and I would just choke up and just going, dude, if you won't let me have a girlfriend on the side, this is not going to work. And I'm so sorry. I am going to end up hurting you.
Yeah.
I wasn't being true to myself in the fact that I was not cut out for a traditional man-woman type relationship.
And that's what I was like with women. I knew I like men. I adore men. I like women on the side. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I would hurt a lot of women. And I did. I became a prick. I used to go to the Palms, and I had my, I was bisexual, and I had all of my craziness, and I was with one woman after another, the same thing I was with the men at that one bar, and I had to stop myself because I was hurting women. I was doing exactly what men were doing to women. I didn't like myself. And I've always wanted, I have never been normal, and I've always wanted to be normal. And I never felt that being with women was normal for me.
Yeah,
That's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to accept. What is normal? The normal thing was like my parents, my mother and father were married, but yet my mother was so depressed in her life because the marriage stumped her growth as a creative woman. And I could never allow myself to be stumped like that and having somebody tell me what to do. So I did the opposite. I didn't allow myself relationships. I didn't allow myself commitments because I did not want to become my mother, whose name is Geraldine. I did not want to become her. She died at 58 years old.
Oh my goodness, that's so young.
She spent 10 years of her life in bed. Depressions run in our family. We have it in our DNA, and I worked very hard at trying not to be a depressed person. And she knows I've battled with it.
Yes.
And that's where when I isolate, that's why I go to the lair. I go out just for I can get and socialize with other people.
No, you understand how to manage it. I mean, I also have issues with depression, but I don't allow myself to wallow in bed and stuff like that. I mean, unless I'm severely fatigued and I obviously need the rest. But no, I get up, I do things.
Yeah.
I get out of myself. If it's really bad, I get out of myself and do something for somebody else, a random act of kindness. There is nothing like doing a random act of kindness for somebody else to make you feel better.
And how many people do you know that actually do random acts of kindness? How many people
Everybody should.
They should, but how many people act? We live in a me society. You know, I mean, there's this guy that I see every time I go to my daughter's house or every time I go to my doctor's. I get off at Gower. He's always sitting there. He's kind of cross-eyed. He's always asking for money. I never had any money to give him. The other day, I pulled next to him. I had all these coins in there, and I pulled up the coins. I said, I've always wanted to give you something. And I said, I couldn't really afford it. And he was like, oh, my, thank you. Because he knows it. He would say hello to me. He saw me drive by. And paying back to society is so important. Giving is so important.
Well, it is.
That's why, I teach. That's why I do what I do. If somebody calls me with a problem, I'm there for them. I'll sit there and talk to them on the phone. And when we go to the lair, I mean, half of the time I'm there, I'm counseling somebody.
Oh, no, I understand. I mean, anybody that's my friend knows they can call me at any time or text me or whatever. And if I can talk to them at that point in time, I will. If I can't, I will arrange to talk to them later.
Mm-hmm.
Because you matter to me. People in my lives matter to me. People that I've promised to play with or mentor, and I haven't quite been able to get around to it. I do, try to keep in touch with them and say, hey, what do you want to do this yet?
But you ask yourself a question. This is really important. When you get into trouble, when you're hurting, I know what I do when I'm hurting. Do you go out and ask for help?
No.
No, neither do I.
I'm horrible at asking for help.
Me too. Well,
I can fix the world.
Yep.
And I can fix everybody else.
Yep.
But, it's really hard to let people help me.
Yeah.
And this is one of the hardest things I have when I do take somebody on as a submissive or a slave. I am so used to being so self-sufficient and doing everything myself, that it's difficult to work them into the DS relationship, and it's why it's so important for them to meet me halfway. It's like when, these things come up, you got to tell me when you're available so I can arrange it. I can't just keep spewing emails out there and hoping that, you'll decide to come to something.
Well, we just did a fundraiser at TSR Network for TSR Network at the Lair de Sade, and I went to Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that are watching the show, we don't make any money on TSR Network. I mean, it costs us a lot of money, and it sometimes is really difficult for us to. We've been broadcasting for 12 years. It was never meant to be a money-making operation. For people that have said Rev Mel is a bad businesswoman, is bullshit. We're still open. We're still alive. We're still broadcasting.
We're basically kinky PBS.
Yeah. So
and we are dependent on you because we're paying out of pocket to bring this to you.
And the thing is that we work hard to do this. But I went to Kane and I said to him, I says, I'm broke. I need help. And he said to me, why did you not come to me before this? And what I said to him is because my mother taught me never to ask for help.
I had a similar experience. You know, when I was growing up, my mother's pride, she was like, you know, we don't ask for scholarships, we are self-supporting people. We take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Those are for poor people that really, really need it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until years later and college costs went through the roof and everything that, you know, by the time my middle sister came along, she's like, baby, go for the scholarship.
Yeah. Because it's expensive.
You know, and they had to change the way. But I was of a different generation, and I still retain that pride. And it really hurts me to ask for help. It really does. Oh, my goodness. No, we are two chatting biddies. I swear to God, we could talk all night.
Guest 159 says, I do it
hilarious.
all the time, but you're right. I think he's talking about giving back.
Yes.
Yeah. Or she, he. Well, when you're dressed, you are a she. When you're not dressed, you are a he. That's how I register it. I may be wrong, but that's, I mean, teach me. You know, you can always teach people on how to, you know, to do things. But yeah, we can sit here and talk and talk.
We certainly can.
I think we might end up going to 2-hour show. What do you think?
Oh my goodness, we just might make it.
Yeah, so this is you know, this is any other questions in the chat room if you guys are buying.
Yes, because we are having a blast talking to each other, you know, but then again, we do have a lot of interesting things to discuss. We always have fun things to talk about,
Yeah.
or, you know, definitely things of social value and
But social value, let's talk about mentorship.
Yes.
I have a mentor who's not really my mentor, but who has mentored me through his kindness since I've gotten into the BDSM lifestyle. And that person showed me extreme kindness, was always, you know, always there for me at the club, you know, because, you know, remember, I don't ask, so I never ask. And that is Sire Kane at the Luderside. Sire Kane has been, he is the founder of the Luderside. He has Conquest Society. They're starting they're having a huge dinner for the Knights of the Lair dinner coming up. And they're all writing me, are you coming? Are you coming? And I'm not the Knights of the Lair. And I'm like, yeah, I said, I don't know if I can afford it, because it's a huge formal dress dinner. And I've got to get down there downtown. But Kane has always shown me kindness. And through his kindness, he has showed me how to treat other people in our community. He never talks bad about people. He is always there for people. If people are in need of something, he's there for them. And to me, I think that is, you know, he won the TSR People's Choice Awards of I forgot what it was. It was person who has made a difference in whatever the thing is. I can't remember right now, because he deserved it.
Oh no, his energy is amazing. I mean, the last time that I talked to him, when we were discussing about the classes that I'm now doing at the Lair, and I was really shaky that day because I'd had a bad experience from somebody in the lifestyle that made me feel like less than.
Yeah.
And I'm shaking, holding his hands, and he says, "We want you. We want you because we know you will be here."
Yep.
And he says, "Trust me." I never felt so empowered and supported. It's been such a long time since I have felt that from another human being.
And he looks at both sides of the stories of everything, and he's very short of what he says. He doesn't go into long lectures. He'll go, "I'm gonna do Kane. Yep, do what you want. Yep, you gotta do what you want." And it's like you look at him and you go like, this man makes so much sense, you know. And he has, I told him, I says, you know, I'm not always going to be teaching at the Lair. He goes, yeah, you are. I says, no, someday I'm going to retire. Nope, it's not going to happen. And, you know, 12 years. I mean, I just volunteered to teach for a year or whatever, and it's been 12 years. And
your family.
Yeah, and that's what he said one day to me. And Karina, his significant other, also said your family. And it's really important that that we find a family in BDSM that is there to support us and to be and not to micromanage us. I
Yeah.
cannot be micromanaged. I don't know about you. Can you be
I
micromanaged?
don't do particularly well with that. I have a tendency to break out in bad behavior when I'm over micromanaged.
Yeah, you can't micromanage me. I will walk away from you. It's just like don't, you know. I mean, I
It's
will.
like when I've been forced to do something by a dom that is just not right for me. I know, especially like I had one done that asked me to lie for him. I cannot do that. That is not true to my soul.
Yeah.
I break out in weird bad behavior, even though I'm trying really hard to do what they say. It is so against my being that I end up acting up, doing something over here, and getting my ass kicked as a result, because it's such a conflict for me.
A dom should never ask someone to lie for them
I
because
know.
that's not the principles, the foundation. You know, our brothers in the gay leather world created such a great foundation. Um, and as Guy Baldwin said on my show, that the heads need to create their own history, and he's right. But they laid down a foundation of honesty and integrity. You know, be accountable for what you do. Be accountable for your life. You know, take responsibility. Um, I was up for an award for I forgot what it was. It was through the Gay Leatherman. They had me up for an award, and I sat there and I listened to the other people that were also up for that award. And what I've learned from Gay Leathermen is that they are there for community.
Yes.
It's not a personal thing where they're just there to hype up their ego and to get bloated with their ego. They're there to give back to their community. And the things that some of these men did, the list were endless. I mean, and you look at the things that we do. I mean, I've just done TSR Network and teaching at the Lair, and BDSM Pride Day. But these people, they deserve the award
Well, they
because
do.
of what they did. The community. That I mean, when I hear people say that we don't have a community, it pisses me off.
That's so
That's
wrong.
the reason why people. That's the reason why we don't have a community is because they don't want a community. I want a community.
When one of my former dons ran for Mr. Sanctuary Leather and won the title, and meeting the Band of Brothers and the rituals and everything, to see what they did for this man and transformed him in the 2 years that he had that leather title. They brought a sense of community to his life he had never had before.
Yeah.
The fact that they give to the community and they have these and immediately, and I saw them do this for each sanctuary leather that I've witnessed. Immediately they bring them and they do this right ritual.
Yeah.
You are now a member of the Band of Brothers. This is now, always, and forever. Yeah. And it's a true brotherhood. Yeah. And it was the most amazing thing because I saw transformation in this individual I thought would never happen, because he was a person that was very much self-serving, and he went from that to giving back to this community in a way that I thought was never possible.
Yeah, and it is. When you go out for a leather title, I will never go out for a leather title. There's a reason why. It takes tremendous amount of commitment to represent that title. You've got it has to for 1 year, it has to be the whole center of your life, and the things that you need to do in that year, the fundraisers, the things that you need to do to give back. Absolutely. I knew that I could never give it justice.
That's why I wasn't able to run in November. It just, this year of my life, I would not have been able to give the devotion to a title should I be lucky enough to have that honor.
And we see people who win titles who give nothing back, and all they want to do is be a title person, title holder, and that is injustice. I spit on them. I think that that's all because they needed their ego to be stroked a little bit more. When you're when you have seen in the gay leather world what title holders do and how they impact their community, and when you see someone that does not do that and it's only to self-serve their ego and how they feel about themselves, I think it's wrong. I really do. And I don't respect anyone that does that.
No.
I mean, it's so important. I can't,
It's about giving back.
It is. It has to be.
You know, it's like pay it forward, give it back. You know, we all should be doing something. You know, I'm not saying that you guys should go out and run for a leather title, but, you know, I don't know. I was raised to give back. We always volunteered and did things. You know, my parents, even after I moved out, were going down to the voting place and they were handling, you know, signing people in for this, or they'd go down and volunteer for that. And I still see them doing things and being involved in their community. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot, you know. It can be just as simple as taking your kids down to one of the beach trash pickup days.
Yeah, you got to give back. You can't keep, when you have a community and you're constantly taking from that community and you don't really think about what you're giving back, you're doing a disservice to our community. TSR Network is a community network. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I am so perplexed. If anything happens to me, where does this all go? I am just, it saddens me because I cannot make a decision on where this is, and Cassie knows, we've talked about it, where this is going. I mean, 12 years of documented history.
It's amazing, Mel. Well, it's like you had given me such an opportunity to have my show way back when. And when we went on hiatus, it's like it had it inspired me. It's like I wanted to get back to this so bad. There is something so wonderful about being able to share this information with our community. You know, the outreach that we do, the people that we meet, the voices that are heard because of us.
When I decided to come back, I needed to do it not huge like it was, because everyone's aware we lost the studio.
Yeah.
We're in a very small place right now, but we're, you know, and people come in, they say they love it here. But the thing is that I knew deep down inside that you would be a great host if you allowed yourself to become a great host. If you got over the fear of being the only person that was hosting a show and conducting an interview. And I believed in you. I still believe in you. You have gone far, far, far more than I would have anticipated that you could go. But I knew you could do it. And that was the whole thing, is that, you know, we believe. Spanky says, I got to go. We got to go too, Spanky.
Yeah, we do.
It's time.
We do, but I've had so much fun talking to you. And then, you know, next week I have David Lawrence on.
Oh, yeah, David.
I am so excited. He was so surprised. He didn't remember telling me way back when the little bit of advice he gave me about doing like this gravity boot thing for an inversion. But I will never forget that advice that he gave me. You never know how you're going to affect somebody's life. And I am just jazzed to have him on the show next week. I cannot wait to talk to him.
He's great. I'm going to be testing with him to make sure, because he's in Florida, I think.
Oh, he's in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Spanky said, I got to run, ladies. Been cool listening in, and you are right about giving back some of what you have taken away from the community. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Spanky.
And I have Whippler on my show. I think I still have them on my show on Monday.
Nice.
They're the new app for BDSM.
Oh, wow.
So and they're the only ones that Apple has said yes to. And so when you go to the app, you'll have questions, and you go, well, why doesn't it have this or this? Because Apple is really strict about what words you can and cannot use. You can't use words like BDSM and kink. So
you got to use walk around words.
Walk around words, and so, because a lot of people are saying, well, you know, these are the things they say that you're into. This doesn't make sense, but it does make sense if you're dealing with a big corporation like Apple. But they're going to be on my show all the way from Israel.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that is going to be a really good show.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to tune into Mel's show on Monday, and then the Miss Cassie on Tuesday for a fabulous show with David Lawrence. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Oh, thank you, honey.
Oh, you're welcome. You're nice.
Bye, you guys.
Good night, everybody. Woo! Woo! You guys were fabulous tonight.
Bye-bye.
Good night. I gotta go tuck Mel in. It's past her bedtime.
Ho, 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 ho.
Woo!
Yes.
I know.